Joey was born a little army Jeep. But then one day the army decided they didn't need so many Jeeps, so they had to sell him. Joey was all excited over who his new family was going to be, especially when he saw Freddie and Freddie's daddy. Freddie was just about the nicest little boy you ever met. And he took one look at Joey, and click, just like that, he knew that he and Joey were going to be pals.
Gosh, Daddy, this one's awful nice.
No, Freddie, he's even too small for a family of mice.
And look, he's got a name, too, just like me and you.
Well, maybe he'll do all right, but golly, he's a sight.
I'll help you fix him so he looks like new. We can shine him and polish him and maybe paint him blue.
Daddy wasn't so sure about the blue paint, but he decided Joey'd be all right for something. After all, they didn't want to take Suzy out in the rain. Suzy, oh, Suzy, is the cutest little blue convertible in the whole world. Daddy was sure there was plenty of room in the garage for Joey and Suzy. And Freddie could hardly tear himself away from the garage.
Freddie, Mom said to come inside.
Gosh, don't you suppose we could go for a ride?
Of course not. It's awful late. Mom's gonna be sore. Just you wait.
I gotta say goodnight to Joey first.
Huh. Well, of all the Jeeps I ever saw, he's about the worst.
Freddie was hurt when his sister talked like that about Joey. But she'd be sorry. She'd see how wonderful Joey was. And you know, before Freddie went to bed, he sneaked out into the garage to see Joey again. Suzy had gone out with Daddy.
I want you to know, Joey, I think you're swell.
But Sally don't like me. I could tell.
Golly, Joey, you talked to me. I knew you were special. I could see.
It's got to be our secret, though. You can't tell anybody, ever.
Oh, I won't, Joey. I won't tell, never.
I'm scared Suzy hurt her, too. Not just me and you.
You shouldn't ought to care what girls think. All they ever do is giggle and wink.
But Suzy's awful pretty for a girl. Just about the prettiest in the world.
You mean you're in love with Suzy?
Uh-huh.
Gosh.
Yes, little Joey had fallen in love at first sight, and Suzy hadn't even looked at him. Joey thought about what Sally had said, and the tears rolled down.
How can I prove I'm strong and brave, even if I'm not handsome and my hair don't wave? Suzy's the only girl in the world for me, but I don't see how it's ever gonna be.
Joey thought, and so did Freddie. The next day, Daddy took Joey downtown with him, and just before they drove away, Joey got real brave and spoke to Suzy.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Looks like the sun might shine a bit.
You know, Suzy, I like you an awful lot. I just had to say it whether you wanted me to or not.
I think you're nice, too.
Gee, Suzy, you do?
Uh-huh.
Joey's little heart was bursting with joy. Suzy had spoken to him. Why, she'd even smiled. And he was singing merrily all the way downtown. Because just before Daddy had driven off, Freddie had told Joey a secret.
Hey, Joey, I know a secret you wish you knew. Only maybe I shouldn't tell you till it's true.
Gee, what kind of secret? Am I in it, too?
Well, golly, I thought it up just for you. Tomorrow's Sunday, and we're all going for a ride. You and Suzy will be side by side.
You mean we're both going? Suzy and me?
That's what I'm going to fix, don't you see?
Oh, golly, I'm so excited I can sing. I'm as happy as a double-decker ice cream cone or a puppy with a super special turkey bone. 'Cause I like Suzy and Suzy likes me, and we'll be as happy as two can be.
But poor little Joey, he didn't know what was waiting for him at home. It was just about twilight, and Joey was coming down the road again, still all aflutter over the big secret, when he saw Suzy sitting at the curb, pretty as a picture, and he thought she was smiling at him until he saw the big red limousine sitting across the street. And then Suzy whispered to him, and his heart sank.
Joey, look who just moved across the street. Isn't he handsome and oh, so sweet? His name's Archibald. He told me so.
I suppose now you'd like to have him for your beau.
Well...
Suzy lowered her lashes and fluttered them daintily, then turned so that Archibald, sitting across the street, could see what long lashes she had. It was plain to see. The big, handsome stranger across the way had looked at Suzy, and she was smitten. What chance had little Joey now? Oh, he was so unhappy.
I'm as sad as a dose of castor oil or a pot of fudge that just won't boil. I wish I knew what's gonna be, 'cause I love Suzy, but Suzy don't love me.
Freddie felt awful when he saw how miserable Joey was. Why couldn't Suzy understand that Joey had his good points, too, even if he wasn't tall and handsome like Archibald? Joey was kind and good and a real friend. Freddie wandered out into the garden behind his house and sat down to think. He'd just been there a couple of minutes when Richie Rooster walked over to cheer him up.
Gosh, Freddie, what makes you so sad? It must be something awful bad.
I've got to think of something fast before another day goes past. If Joey keeps swearing like he is, all I can think of, well, gee whiz.
Oh, tell me what it's all about. Then we'll figure something out.
Freddie explained the whole thing to Richie Rooster. Then suddenly Richie Rooster got an idea. But he made Freddie promise to keep it a secret from everybody, even from Joey, because first of all, he'd have to talk with Mr. Sunbeam before he could promise his plan would work. So he went chasing after Mr. Sunbeam, and Mr. Sunbeam, undecided.
Well, now, Richie, you're asking a lot. I'm not sure if I can do it or not.
Ah, gee, you can't let us down. All Joey does is sigh and frown.
I'll have a talk with Mr. Thunder tonight. I'll do it if he says it's all right.
So Richie Rooster hurried back to give Freddie the big news. They could hardly wait for nighttime to come. Joey's whole future depended on what Mr. Thunder would decide. But all Joey could think of was Suzy.
What's Suzy doing now? Can you see?
I don't see her outside. Oh, she must have gone for a ride.
All she talks about is Archie across the street, about how handsome he is and nice and neat. What do you suppose I could do to improve myself for Suzy, too?
I think you're swell, just like you are. Sweller than Archie or any car.
Just then Mr. Sunbeam came racing back to the garage, and he whistled to Freddie and Richie to come out. He had plenty to tell them now, and they listened closely.
Don't talk too loud or Joey might hear.
You know what to do now? Everything clear?
Uh-huh.
I'll be shining bright and strong, but I can't stay very long, so listen closely, and I'll tell you the rest.
Mr. Sunbeam leaned over and whispered his instructions. First of all, Freddie would have to forget all about taking Joey on their Sunday drive. It would be up to Freddie to make Daddy drive Suzy out into the country on a certain road, a dirt road. Then, when they were out in the country on that road, oh, but this is how it
Well, this certainly turned out to be a fine day.
Never thought the sun would shine this way.
Looks like you talk too fast. That sunshine ain't gonna last.
And Grandpa was right, because it started to rain that very minute. The rain came down in buckets, and those dirt roads, my, they were muddy.
Gee, Daddy, everybody's getting wet.
This rain will never stop, I'll bet.
Daddy pulled up alongside the road and did everything he could to keep the folks from getting wet. Then Daddy got all set to drive off, but something was wrong. Suzy just couldn't budge. Suzy was stuck in the mud. Oh, dear. Why did this have to happen to her? And what was Daddy doing now? He and Freddie were trooping down the road to the nearest telephone. Daddy wanted Archibald to drive out and help Suzy out of the ditch. And it wasn't long before they saw Archibald coming down the road.
Oh, Archie, I'm so glad you came.
Wish I could say the same.
Archie, you'll help me. You will, won't you?
With all that dirt and mud, I don't see what I can do.
Well, don't bother smiling at me anymore. You're just a mean, conceited boy.
Oh, sorry you feel that way, old gal.
Oh, I think you're the meanest thing in the world.
Handsome Archibald didn't want to get himself full of mud. even though Suzy was in an awful fix. It was plain to see Archibald was no gentleman. Then Freddie went to work. He'd been waiting for this.
Hey, Daddy, I know what we can do. You go with Archie and bring Joey back with you.
Say, you've got an idea there.
Sure, even if it is muddy, Joey won't care.
So almost before you could say Archibald, Joey came bouncing down the road. And he went right to work with pride and joy. This was his big chance at last. He had to make good. He worked and worked, and everybody watched, almost afraid to breathe. And suddenly, everything was all right. Joey gave one final shout, and Suzy was out of the ditch.
Oh, Joey, I think you're just wonderful. Honest, I do. And I'm never gonna love anybody but you.
Joey was so thrilled he could hardly talk. True love had won at last. The sun was shining happily again, and Joey and Suzy went singing down the road together.
We're as happy as a double-decker ice cream cone or a puppy with a super special turkey bone. 'Cause we're in love, it's plain to see, and we'll be as happy as two can be.
And that's the story of Joey the Jeep.